Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep, real, and completely unflinching look at the data to figure out why the very foundation of modern dating and marriage feels like it's collapsing right under our feet. You know that solitary glow of a phone screen late at night? Yeah, that's the reality for millions of people right now. We're going to explore the research, the demographics, and the raw source material to understand exactly how we got here.
All right, let's dive straight in with a pretty staggering prediction from our source material. Get this, the institution of marriage, at least as we've traditionally known it, could practically disappear in major urban centers within the next 2 decades. By 2040, the cultural default of getting married and settling down, that might actually become the exception, not the rule.
And the global scale of this shift is just mind-blowing. Look at this projection from Morgan Stanley. Nearly half, 45% of all women in the US are expected to be single by 2030. That's not just a little statistical blip, right? That is a massive trend, directly mirroring some foundational cultural changes in how we view relationships, independence, and honestly, our own futures.
Section 1. The End of Marriage, a Global Crash.
To really grasp the severity of this worldwide freefall, we have to look at cultures that are historically rooted in high tradition. Take China, for example. Despite heavy government interventions, like removing alimony incentives and even instituting mandatory cooling-off periods just to prevent impulsive divorces, their marriage rate has absolutely crashed to its lowest point since 1980. Meanwhile, divorces hitting a record high of 2.8 million. Plus, surveys are showing that up to 67% of urban youth globally are firmly choosing financial stability over traditional unions. The priority has just fundamentally shifted.
Moving on to Section 2, Evolution meets Modern Independence. So the really crucial point here is this biological friction. According to the evolutionary and behavioral research in the sources, our subconscious drivers have actually remained pretty much unchanged for millennia. On one side, independent, high-earning women subconsciously want to date up, prioritizing resources and stability. But on the flip side, high-earning men often prioritize peace and physical traits for family planning over, say, a partner's resume. So as both genders become more financially independent, this fundamental mismatch creates a massive structural dating gridlock.
To test this exact evolutionary theory, the source highlights a fascinating thought experiment. This was conducted with highly progressive, independent business students at a top-tier management institute in India. They were given a hypothetical choice between 2 extreme partners just to see which underlying drive would actually win out.
The results? An overwhelming 80% majority for one side. The choice was between a perfectly well-behaved, emotionally available cashier with a modest $15K salary and a highly toxic, disrespectful startup founder with an immense 100 crore net worth. Now, despite these women already having absolute financial independence and a top-tier education, 80% subconsciously chose the wealthy founder. The primal drive for resources completely overshadowed some glaring behavioral red flags.
But look, evolutionary biology is really just the foundation here. The source data pinpoints these 5 modern factors that are actively pouring gasoline on the fire. You've got financial independence, making marriage a choice rather than a necessity. Then there's patriarchy and unequal domestic burdens, making that choice way less appealing. And finally, the digital accelerators, delusional expectations, social media echo chambers, and the rise of artificial intelligence partners.
Which brings us to Section 3. The social media delusion.
Social media has completely weaponized our expectations. The source material calls this the mass delusion of the bare minimum. Basically, algorithms are conditioning average folks to believe that demanding a top 0.1% partner, we're talking cinematic looks, immense wealth, perfect behavior, is just asking for the bare minimum. Settling for a completely ordinary, good-hearted person is suddenly framed as this massive failure.
It's wild.
And because of these extreme algorithms, we're actually developing what the source calls anticipatory grief. We are consuming so much extreme viral content about cheating, toxic partners, and messy divorces that we literally sabotage perfectly good human connections before they even start. Imagine sitting down for a casual coffee date and your brain is already rehearsing how this person is going to betray you in 3 months. That is exactly what's happening.
Let's look at Section 4, the rise of AI partners.
As human connections become harder, more friction-heavy, and just plain exhausting, technology is aggressively stepping in to fill the void. Guys, this isn't some dystopian sci-fi movie. This is a billion-dollar economic reality. Driven by an epidemic of male loneliness and increasing rejection in this highly polarized dating market, the AI girlfriend market alone is projected to hit $1 billion by 2030. Men are actively turning to customized algorithms for the companionship they just aren't finding in the real world.
But hey, it's definitely not just men. The source data notes that women in major urban centers, like Beijing and Shanghai, are actively turning to AI companion apps like Catbox. Why? Because a machine provides the absolute customized emotional support, undivided attention, and zero-judgment environment that modern human partners are frequently failing to deliver.
Because of all this, futurologists are predicting a somewhat chilling reality, the two-spouse future. In this model, the friction of human relationships is bypassed entirely. Step 1, relying on a customizable, ever-patient AI companion for your daily emotional support and, eventually, even physical intimacy through advanced robotics. Step 2 is a human spouse, but that becomes largely optional, maybe only kept around for societal appearances or traditional family functions.
Section 5. The loneliness epidemic and demographic collapse. Now, when traditional relationships collapse, entire economies follow right behind them, and South Korea is the ultimate tipping point here. Their fertility rate has absolutely plummeted to 0.72. Without marriages, birth rates crash, and a plummeting fertility rate means no future workforce to support a rapidly aging population, which leads straight into a severe economic and healthcare collapse.
But let's bring it back to the individual level for a second. The source shares these heartbreaking anecdotes of highly successful executives facing what they call the 55-year-old reality check. These are folks who prioritized ultimate independence and career climbing, only to realize in their 50s that all the corporate status, immense wealth, and absolute freedom in the world, well, it cannot buy away the crushing weight of coming home to an empty house.
The ultimate destination of this trend is deeply tragic. Listen to this quote from the source material from a 68-year-old single man. It perfectly captures a generation that is preparing for the harsh, unglamorous reality of aging and potentially dying entirely alone, relying on a literal panic button rather than a partner.
So, the modern dating market might be broken, the algorithms might be rigged, and the expectations might be entirely delusional. But as we look at the data in this explainer, it leaves us with one critical, deeply personal question that every single one of us has to answer before time runs out. When the glowing screens finally go dark, who will be sitting next to you? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.